A federal appeals court has upheld Texas's requirement that voters provide a driver's license or other identification number for their mail-in ballot to be counted. President Trump applauded the decision on Truth Social, writing, quote, "This is great news, should be nationwide." Let's bring in our panel, former director for the office of the DNC chair, Jaime Moore, and Republican strategist Lance Trover. Great to see you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So, Jaime, let's start with you, because this is a blow to civil rights groups that were fighting against it. The Biden administration, tried to sue to block it.
Yeah.
What do you think the impact is?
I think look, we are in a point now where we're thinking about 2026 and 2028. So this is a little bit politically motivated. But look, I was telling Lance in the green room, Texas has now become ground zero for all these political fights right now, be it mail-in ballots, be it looking at the congressional districts. And so I think what Democrats are going to be upset about is this allows for many voters who have traditionally voted in these elections to not, or to have some sort of barrier. So that's been sort of the argument. And so I think most Democrats I've spoken to today do not agree with this, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I do think Democrats are trying to figure out a way to handle these sort of fights across the country. Texas is the first one. It's going to happen in other states as well. But I do think this is a race to 2026 into 2028.
Lance, do you think that we're going to see more states follow suit?
I mean, I think it's quite possible. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with needing voter ID, and frankly, this is another area where your party wants to go with where 15 or 20% of the country is, because 85% of this country supports voter ID. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is not up for debate. It's like many of these other issues, and so I think it's just another example of Democrats taking the side of the super minority in this country, and I'm not sure why after the last election they continue to do that.
Well, we'll see the impact.
Yeah.
To your point.
Yeah, I mean, but I think when you think about this, I think what Democrats are saying, particularly in Texas, is you've got to have other policies that allow for people to get access to IDs, to make sure that they are available in a way that's going to be thoughtful, in a way that's going to be useful to the citizens of these states. And so it's not just about taking votes away. It's about making sure that people have a process to get to these IDs, to get to legal status, or whatever it is that's causing for these barriers to be in place.
And Lance, I want to turn to the Federal Reserve Chair, because President Trump has made it very clear he is ready for Jerome Powell to go.
There's no debate on this one.
Yeah, so he called into CNBC this morning, and he actually made some news and said that the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, was not in the running for it. Take a listen.
I love Scott, but he wants to stay where he is. I'll take him off because I asked him just last night, is this something you want? Nope, I want to stay where I am.
And earlier today, he said at least the two Kevins, Kevin Hassett is one of them, is on the short list. Who do you think it's going to be, Lance? Because he's also made clear it's got to be somebody who agrees with him.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I'm not here to speculate on what the president of the United States is going to do. I will leave that up to much smarter people than me. I think what's interesting to me about this is he clearly really likes the economic team that's around him. And this is, again, another big difference from the first term, where we saw a lot of different movements that we have not seen in this term. Bessent and these guys, Kevin Hassett, he really obviously likes them and trusts them. They are part of his inner core and inner circle, certainly when it comes to tariffs and things of the like. And so that, to me, is the change that we see from, 8 years ago when we had a lot of turmoil. No, he wants to keep his folks in place.
For sure. I want to play another clip from the president, because this is a very long interview. Sometimes he keeps it going, and he talked about a potential third term.
Are you going to run again? The
no,
Constitution
probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
And you're not going to
Jaime, so he says probably, but the probably is the active word here.
Look, I think President Trump is really good at making news, and we spent the whole entire interview talking about what President Trump said today, and so I don't think he's going to run for a third. He can't. I mean, he's not going to run for a third term. Republicans in the House and the Senate and governors are waiting for the moment that President Trump's not on the ballot anymore. There have been people who've been waiting for 8 years to run for president, and governors and senators and all of that. So I think President Trump knows what he's doing. He knows that we're going to have this conversation today. But I do not think he intends to run for. And when he became a former president this last go around, I don't think he kept running for president. He did not have an enjoyable former president experience. I think as an 81-year-old, 83-year-old, he's going to look forward to being a former president and having all of the trappings. He's building a new ballroom at the White House. He has a new plane. So I think he's thinking about legacy right now, not about a third term.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was over at the White House this morning, and we all scrambled because we saw Secret Service on the roof, and then Trump popped up on the roof.
Yeah.
Watch.
What does that mean?
More ways to spend my money.
So he was taking a tour there with the architect of that ballroom. He was joking about building missiles. What do you make of this walk?
Well, we talked about this before. I mean, I think in the green room. I mean, like every president usually puts their stamp on the White House, and he's not going to be any different. And he is a builder by trade. That's what he does. And I actually think the idea of a ballroom is good. We were both. I think we were in agreement on that, right? That we're and the changes that he's making. I suspect that there will be more changes coming. And I think, yeah. I mean, and him being on the roof. I mean, that's the type of thing that people like about Donald Trump. He's just authentic. He speaks to them. He talks like them. He's out on the roof. That's just that's those are the types of things that people like in Donald Trump.
But I think Democrats have to stay focused. I think these distractions, I think, one, Lance is correct, the president has a right to do this, and his legacy is in his hands. But I think Democrats have got to stay focused. What is the policy issues with Donald Trump is not about building a ballroom or building another wing of the White House. It's about voting rights in Texas. It's about making sure that the members of Congress are reflective of people's wishes in these states. And it's about the big, beautiful bill. It's about tariffs. It's about not lowering costs. This distraction of the White House and all of that is all a distraction right now. And I think Democrats have they've got to stay focused on the policy issues and the politics of it, because in just a half a year, we're going to be looking at 2026. We're going to look at the new Congress. Donald Trump's going to be a lame duck president very shortly, if not already. And so these tactics that he's pulling right now are political theater in some ways. And I think it's his right to do it, but Democrats have got to stay focused.
Lance, quickly, final word.
I mean, they can try. I think the president's had a very successful 6 months going into that, and I think they have a lot to talk about going into the next election. One big, beautiful bill, tax cuts, a border that is closed, doing everything that he promised he would do.
And we're only 8 months in.
Don't remind us, Ouija.
Thank you so much for being here.